Jabba the President did not celebrate Star Wars today. He's barely focused on the real war he got us into. Trump took another trip to Florida this weekend. He showed up at a PGA Tour event held at his golf resort in Miami. This is what he loves to do.
My cognitive exam is part of my physical exam, and I got the highest mark, and one of the doctors said, "Sir, I've never seen anybody get that kind of, that was the highest mark." I hope you're happy with that, although they haven't been bugging me too much.
Some political feuds disappear after a few headlines, yet the bizarre conflict between Jimmy Kimmel and Donald Trump keeps becoming louder with each passing week. What originally started as late-night humor slowly evolved into something much larger, where politics, comedy, and complete chaos seem to collide almost every single night. And whenever it feels like the situation cannot become any stranger, Trump somehow appears again and proves everyone wrong one time unexpectedly.
OMG, she is emanating. Maybe next year they can have the Met Gala at the White House ballroom, you know? I don't know what it is with Trump in this ballroom, but he's building it. He's been pushing it bigly since that shooter showed up at the correspondents' dinner.
But he's a lowlife, whether he apologized or not. He's a lowlife. He always has been. He shouldn't be on television. I don't know how a guy can be on television where the network gets free airwaves from the United States government and spend 100% of his time knocking Republicans and conservatives.
Before we continue, remember to like the video and subscribe, because this story becomes crazy from this point forward. The fascinating part about Jimmy Kimmel constantly mocking Donald Trump is not simply how often it happens, but how every new reaction somehow creates an even stranger situation afterward. Right now, it no longer feels like scripted television. Instead, it feels like reality itself is beating satire nightly.
People at country clubs he owns. That's what he was born for. The president was joined by real estate magnate / war negotiator Steve Witkoff and his son Eric Trump, who wasn't invited but tunneled his way in like the gopher from Caddyshack. After the tournament, Trump met with the winner, Cameron Young, to congratulate him on his victory and take possession of his trophy. And when he wasn't romping around the golf course, the president was hard at work on social media.
The story begins in Hollywood during the massive Star Wars celebration, where fans arrive wearing costumes, lightsabers fill the streets, and crowds treat movie quotes like timeless wisdom. It is a kind of event that feels both harmless and absurd at once, which made it the perfect moment for Jimmy Kimmel to push the conversation somewhere nobody expected afterward.
He said it would cost $200 million and would be financed by private donors. Then the price tag doubled to $400 million, which he said would still be paid for by private donors. Then yesterday, Republicans in the Senate pushed a bill that would allocate $1 billion of taxpayer money to go toward this project. Or you're against it? I'm shocked. I thought you...
Jimmy Kimmel perfectly embraces the strange energy of Hollywood, describing a place where nostalgia feels completely commercialized and every childhood memory carries a price attached. He jokes that between movie studios and celebrity culture, even legendary characters like Yoda no longer resemble ancient warriors, but influencers promoting expensive skincare brands online instead.
A little peek inside his very strong brain. Let's examine one night in Donald Trump's Truth Social feed. Actually, not even one night. Let's look at 1 hour. These are all real posts from our president in the 11 o'clock hour on Friday night. At 11:03, he put up this image of him and members of his cabinet taking a dip in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. I don't know who the woman in the bikini is or how the AI was able to shave 80 pounds off his gut,
But Jimmy Kimmel keeps stretching comparison further, joking that the original Yoda looked exhausted from centuries of battles, while the modern version appears polished enough for glossy magazine covers. Yet the moment audiences settle into harmless movie nostalgia, the conversation sharply shifts back toward politics. Kimmel points out that while fans celebrate fictional wars on screen, Donald Trump is once again dominating headlines in Florida, turning every public appearance into complete spectacle, whether anyone expected it or not.
3 days before the event, in order to keep that cherished tradition alive, I did my own version of the correspondents' dinner on my show. I put on a tuxedo. We pretended we had an audience of luminaries. We used old footage of the Trumps, of Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Kid Rock, Vanilla Ice, all the members of his cabinet. And we made it seem like they were all together in a room. We had a little roast. Again, this was Thursday, and there was no big reaction to it until this morning when I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter.
What happens afterward feels less like political commentary and more like somebody endlessly scrolling through the internet at 3 o'clock in the morning. Jimmy Kimmel dives into Donald Trump and his true social activity, describing a non-stop stream of dramatic post-bizarre images and random declarations that barely seem connected to reality. From AI-enhanced photos to chaotic political memes, the entire feed resembles a digital roller coaster with absolutely no breaks. Kimmel's biggest argument is that this behavior became so common people nearly stopped questioning it anymore.
Later at 11:04, he posted this even more unbelievable picture of Melania smiling, which is, I don't know, the last time we saw that. At 11:13, he posted a thinly veiled but definitely racist note about House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, followed 2 minutes later with a warning to Iran that said, "I have all the cards," and holding a bunch of Uno cards, which is a game you win by having no.
But Jimmy Kimmel does not stop there. The attention shifts toward Donald Trump repeatedly bragging about dominating cognitive tests, which he discusses with total confidence despite how simple the exams actually are. Instead of attacking him directly, Kimmel allows the humor to unfold naturally by comparing Trump's dramatic descriptions with the basic reality of the test, turning everything into a slow-burning joke where audiences understand the punchline long before it completely arrives on screen. Afterward,
Judiciary Committee, the money would be used for security features only, not for the ballroom itself. And the White House, of course, disagrees with that. After saying he and his teeth sucklers would pay for it personally, Team Trump now wants us to foot the bill, which is now 5 times what he said it would be. $1 billion for a ballroom. What can you say? The man loves to dance, you know? This is not a popular project. Only 28% of Americans supported him illegally knocking the White House down in the middle of the night to build.
as the discussion continues, the atmosphere becomes far more theatrical. Jimmy Kimmel describes Donald Trump's speeches almost like live stage performances filled with exaggerated storytelling, unexpected tangents, and dramatic delivery that blur the boundary between politics and entertainment. Yet beneath the comedy sits a more serious layer, especially when conversations about foreign policy and tensions with Iran raise concerns about how casually major decisions sometimes reach the public.
Posted his big gold pumpkin head, 11:26. Him photoshopped into Mount Rushmore, 11:32. We got him and Melania with their hair blowing, no explanation. 11:37 with King Charles, no caption or explanation. Then over the next 8 minutes, he made not one but 3 posts about renovating the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. And that's 1 hour on a Friday night, the President of the United States. According to the Daily Beast, based on his social media activity, there were only 5 nights last month when the president could have possibly gotten a full night's sleep.
Jimmy Kimmel also responds to criticism over joking about Rudy Giuliani, but rather than becoming defensive, he transforms the backlash into part of the comedy itself. He sarcastically pretends he controls future events simply to create material later, exposing how exaggerated many accusations against him have become. At the same time, Kimmel balances the humor with genuine sympathy, giving the entire segment a far more human layer hidden beneath all the sarcasm and sharp political jokes.
Paying for it. These are all the times Trump posted that the ballroom would be built using 0 taxpayer dollars. But I don't get it. Why does he need a room to hold balls? He's already holding a lot of balls. He's holding J.D. Vance's balls. He's got Lindsey Graham's balls. He's holding the balls of almost every Republican in Congress. Thank you. So today, Trump signed an executive order to bring back the presidential fitness test. Do you remember that?
And that is exactly why this endless cycle never truly stops. Every time Donald Trump posts online or speaks publicly, another massive wave of material instantly appears for comedians to analyze. Jimmy Kimmel embraces that reality, portraying Trump less like a traditional politician and more like a non-stop headline machine capable of creating controversy faster than people can refresh their phones online daily.
18 times a day. If you had a relative who is posting 18 times a day, you'd be worried about him, right? You'd be like, what's going on with cousin Matthew? Is he okay? Now, in fairness, Trump does take nice little naps, mostly during the national security meetings, so he is getting some sleep. And he might even be scouting for a place to live after his reign of terror ends. Trump paid a visit to the Village's retirement community near Orlando on Friday.
At this stage, the story slowly moves away from pure comedy and becomes more observational. Jimmy Kimmel highlights how Donald Trump carries the same unpredictable energy across social media interviews and public appearances, where exaggerated claims and random remarks became part of the performance. According to Kimmel, repetition often replaces verification, creating a strange cycle where confidence matters more than actual consistency itself.
A call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face.
From there, the discussion grows into a broader commentary about modern politics and media culture. Jimmy Kimmel suggests that attention became the most valuable currency, explaining why dramatic statements spread much faster than careful explanations ever can. Instead of turning the segment into a serious lecture, he keeps the tone light enough for audiences to laugh while still noticing the uncomfortable truth quietly hiding underneath the humor. And political jokes throughout everything.
2 of his top TV doctors, Phil and Oz.
We have a man here who knows more about Medicaid, Medicare, medical crap than any human being. Where's Dr. Oz? Where the hell are you, stand up? He's great. It's the most boring trip I've ever made. He's telling me about Medicare, Medicaid.
Like I give a meta about any of those things. Any term of the word care.
The irony surrounding everything becomes almost impossible to ignore, and Jimmy Kimmel makes certain audiences feel it without heavily explaining the point. He shifts attention toward the larger media ecosystem surrounding Donald Trump, including commentators, influencers, and online personalities constantly reinterpreting every controversy. In Kimmel's version of events, it resembles an endless cast of characters creating confusion, faster than anyone can realistically untangle it all.
Roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about.
As everything moves toward another chaotic ending, Jimmy Kimmel steps back and views the situation through ordinary people struggling to process non-stop headlines, political drama, and surreal social media moments simultaneously. He describes it as accidental entertainment, where the line between comedy and news coverage becomes harder to recognize every single day, and somehow, despite how unpredictable everything appears, the same exhausting cycle continues repeating itself again and again without ever truly slowing down afterward.